So now in this video, we have a 555 timer here. The power is off right now. Now I'm going to turn it on. This is wired as a voltage doubler. So we have two LEDs in series right here. These are green LEDs, and looks like they are brighter than the blue one up there, which actually is turning on and off about half of the time. So it's not a fair comparison. But in case they're in series, they need about 6 volts before they start getting bright. And we have 5 volts at the supply. So 5 volts will get them kind of dim. A little current will trickle through, but you can see they're pretty bright. So we're using a 555 timer to switch a couple of MOSFET transistors right here. N-channel enhancement mode and P-channel enhancement mode. That's because the output has some limitations, with especially with how much it connects to the positive supply right there. So it's just switching them when the output is high. Then the N-channel enhancement mode MOSFET transistor turns on and it charges that capacitor. And then when the output goes low, then the output goes high right there. This capacitor now, that will be turned off, will have 5 volts behind it. You lose a little bit, but in case, about 5 volts behind it. And the stored voltage that it built up, about 4.4 volts right there. Current will push in this direction at a higher voltage. Their voltages will add up, and we have a potential, because we got the diode dropping about 0.6 to 0.7 for both of them. So we're going to lose about 1.2 to 1.4 volts, no matter how efficient this is when it comes to charging that capacitor. The amount of load that it needs, and I accidentally disconnected something somehow. The current that the load needs comes from this charge in this pump, and thus it will lower the voltage of our storage capacitor there. So we could improve this in many ways, but for now this is a good enough demonstration circuit. So now the timing capacitor is the most important part of this. Because I'm using just 10K resistors for the timing, my adjustments are going to be with the capacitor for this circuit. Right now we have a 10 nanofarad. So if you think of microfarad, this is 0.01 microfarad, very small. And in fact, I meant to use a 100 nanofarad capacitor, but it's written 10 nanofarad on the diagram. So I did put it there. Otherwise, we're getting the same speed with the two of them. I think the capacitor is charging and discharging faster than the integrated circuit can respond. So now you can see we're actually got like stray signals, switching it back and forth right there. So we're probably getting a little bit of power, but not fully. So I don't think that didn't drop to, it wouldn't drop to 5 because of the diodes, unless we got help with the capacitors right there. So they wouldn't even be glowing. We just got stray signals kind of going back and forth. But this is a 100 microfarad capacitor. In fact, let me just show you. I can double the voltage just with my body right there. Extremely weak signal needed to switch these capacitors. So 555 timer is probably not even close to being the best way to do this. But again, we have a 100 microfarad capacitor here, I'm pretty sure, and it's either that or 10, but yep, based on the slow pulse, there we go. We can see it's a 100 microfarad capacitor. Now you can see the LEDs blinking. So these aren't on the schematic, these ones on the side. I just use that as a high-low indicator to what the output is doing. And they're going to kind of change the voltage of the output a bit, make it a little bit weaker. So you may get a little bit better results yanking these LEDs. But there you can see, when the output goes low, we get that pulse. When the output goes high, you can't see it, but that's when that capacitor is charging. It goes low, it pushes the charge into that capacitor, and that has stored energy that keeps the LEDs lit up if it is going fast enough. That's 100 microfarad. We also have a 10 microfarad right here, and it goes much quicker. And now we're going to take a look at the primary voltages that we're interested in. So our voltages are all going to be in relationship to ground. Going to go to the positive supply up here. We have about 5 volts. So that's what the power supply is providing. And generally that's all a load could get, unless you got some way to raise the voltage. So I'm across the capacitor right there. As I wrote in the diagram, it looks like we get about 8.5 volts with this setup we have here. You'll see if I pluck one of the LEDs that now there's no load, so we'll get to the maximum voltage right there, like 9.2. So current trickles through the diodes at a lower voltage than their forward voltage, which is like 0.6 to 0.7. So higher currents, each one of them going to drop about 0.7, and then at very low currents, if there's like no demand, hardly any current trickling through, it could drop below 0.6 volts. You could also use Schottky diodes, which don't drop as much voltage. You'll get more power out. In fact, I would do that, but Schottky diodes aren't as common as these rectifier diodes. You probably have to buy something. Now, another thing to note with this multimeter, we're not getting the full picture. So that voltage is changing rapidly. Looks like the multimeter is giving us a average right there instead of bouncing around. So it's definitely changing pretty rapidly there. It's going to kind of steady once this one gets charged enough. Then this one will keep a voltage, so it won't charge up as much and won't have to discharge as much. But in case, that was probably rapidly changing, but this meter doesn't show that, so be aware of that. Now, as I said before, I have this high-low indicator to the side. Hopefully that's showing up for you. It's showing up on my camera. I removed the LEDs there. So now the output is only powering the input of the transistors. The 555 output is only powering the transistors. Let's see if we got a little more voltage. Maybe they're doing a little bit better. And it looks like maybe a speck better. Probably not. But in any case, there you can see. Even with the 555 timer powering the LEDs, as it went high and low, we had the same result, you can just say, at the output. It looks like maybe like a speck higher. So we got 0.7 volt, 7 milliamps of current right there, 0.007. So it was higher when the LEDs were flashing, and so that's not as accurate as a meter though. But one thing we can do is these green LEDs, let's do that. We can look at the voltage across them. So I can go to this resistor, it's on the other end of them. And that's how much voltage they got across them to light up at this amount of current right there. So 5.5 volts, not quite 3 volts each, even though these LEDs have a 3 volt forward voltage. This is a 1000 ohm resistor limiting the current through them and thus itself. So we just look at the voltage across it. Since it's 1000 ohms, every volt across it is 1 milliamp of current. So we got about 3 milliamps of current flowing through here. If we got closer to 10, then these would build up to about 3 volts that they drop. But you would need a higher voltage coming in to meet that. Hopefully that makes sense. And now we'll look at some voltages. So we're dealing with changing voltages. Much better to look at it with an oscilloscope than a multimeter, but not quite as easy to understand if you're not used to looking at them. So there you can see with each pulse, I put the 100 microfarad capacitor back in there. We are getting a voltage, which looks like it's coming pretty close to doubling. So we got 2, 4 that it's dropping to a little bit more. Each division here, each square is 2 volts. And then it's bumping up to 6, almost 8, a little bit shy right there. Let's do the 10 microfarad capacitor right there. So this will go 10 times faster. We'll probably see it not drop as far, and it should go up a little bit higher. Looks like it's a little bit higher, not a ton higher, but definitely higher, and it's not dropping as low. So while it's dropping, it gets interrupted by another pulse right there. And then finally, if the 100, let's see if this one is, I was going to try a 100, this is the 10 nanofarad right there. I'm pretty sure the 100 microfarad goes the same. I don't know if I shorted something, but in any case, there you can see it's looks pretty steady right there. And we'll remove that, and there you can see it goes down. And I think, yeah, stray signals are kind of triggering it a little bit, as I mentioned before. Let's see if my body can do as good as what that resistor was, and I don't know, I think it might be a little bit shorter. I actually wasn't paying terribly close attention to that, but hopefully you were. Now we have, let's see if this is the, yeah, it says 104, so that's 100 nanofarad, and this one, I don't know why that is not working right now. So I figured out why it wasn't working. I forgot to put the jumper back to the output of the 555 timer. So there we got that voltage line there. I'm going to, that sped up how fast it goes. I'm going to slow down how fast it goes across. So right now it's 5 seconds per division right there. Should give us plenty of time. But what I'm going to do is zoom in. So that's 100 nanofarad on the diagram. I meant to put 100 nanofarad, but I left 10 nanofarad. I actually made this circuit before, and so a lot of what I did, I was just able to repeat. But I didn't plan it that way. I just noticed my old schematic looked like this one. So this one is the 10 nanofarad, and it actually does look like it's doing a little bit better right there. So just a spec though. They look pretty close right there. Maybe it is even. But either way, you could use either of them. I think the main problem is probably that the 555 timer can't go high and low any faster, or maybe just the capacitors can't accept any more charge after a certain speed. Could be a whole bunch of stuff. That's all kinds of testing you could do. Also, let's take a look at the output, or the capacitor, I should say. The one that is charging and discharging. So there you can see there is a very rapid voltage change. The multimeter must have gave us an average. I remember it saying 5 something. So you can see 1, 2, and it looks like it's even on the low end. So that's 5 there. Each square is 2 volts per division. And so you can see it's rapidly changing, even though the multimeter showed a steady voltage. So that's why oscilloscopes are much more useful at looking at changing voltages than a multimeter is. And now let's look at another aspect that, not so much with the circuit, but with the video. I like to use these LEDs to indicate when the output is high and low of the 555 timer. So of course it's changing so rapidly right now that they both look like they're on all the time. Hopefully you can see that. I just added those 2 LEDs right there. And so it's 5 seconds per division. That was quite a while ago. Looks like they are hurting the voltage just a speck. I think it's down just a speck. I could be wrong though. They look pretty close right there. But in any case, for demonstration purposes, it really helps when it's going slower to see which one, when the output's high, the red LED lights up. When the output is low, the blue LED lights up. But it lowers the voltage. It takes it farther away, especially from 5 volts. But even raises it a little bit above 0 volts when you have a load right there affecting the signal. So I wanted to see how badly it did, and for all intents and purposes, for the demonstration, probably made no difference at all, but maybe it did cut the output voltage a tiny bit. And now for those that are still interested, this is a long video, I have the close-up of the schematic right there. So actually I pretty much copied this and pasted it from an earlier video. I didn't realize I went through this whole process before. For the most part, I thought I had more differences than I did. To begin with, that video I had 47 microfarad capacitors. Now I have 100 microfarad capacitors. To be honest, I don't know that it made any difference. I had a bunch of 47 microfarad capacitors, but not 100 microfarads until I looked in an old kit. I actually had a bunch of them in that kit. So that's why I was using that in this video series right here. I thought a larger value would do a lot better, but I also tried 1,000 microfarad, and I don't believe, maybe it didn't even do any better, but definitely didn't do better enough where it was worth using them in this particular circuit, maybe other cases. So we got the 555 timer. As I said before, it either outputs high or low, but especially with the high, it doesn't have the full 5 volts right there, especially when you ask current of it. And so we have these MOSFET transistors here, and they turn on pretty much fully with just a voltage, but it has to be close enough to 5 volts and 0 volts to fully turn them on and off. As you saw, if I just had the jumper in the air, the voltage was wobbling back and forth, but not enough to turn them on fully. That's why you saw the LEDs, they didn't get all the way down to just the trickle that could flow through there. They got brighter. There was some activity going on, but it wasn't fully. The transistors weren't turning on and off fully. So that's why we got that. This is not enough voltage to fully charge and discharge that capacitor, whereas these can. But a lot of integrated circuits also that can go rail to rail can't provide hardly any current. And so they may not be able to provide enough current to charge and discharge the capacitor. So this is another stage you could add to take that currentless signal and transfer it into a high current, relatively high current with the transistors. So I'm using the 2N7000 and N-channel enhancement mode MOSFET transistor and a BS250, a P-channel enhancement mode MOSFET transistor. This one came in the E-line package when I ordered it from DigiKey. It was reasonably priced compared to alternatives, but it comes in the E-line package. But it, you know, it's not that different from the TO92 package right there. The smaller side though is the front. It's bigger in the back. There's a little dimple in the back. It's square. But in any case, the pin layout, it's gate in the middle of both of them, but the drain is on opposite sides and the source is on opposite sides. So you can actually have them facing the same way. I showed that in an earlier video. And then for this circuit, and then source up there was positive supply, down there was negative supply. Their drains though we could tie together, and then gate we could tie together with a jumper. Again, we looked at in an earlier video. I'm not going to zoom into the circuit board again with that stuff. But a lot of people really hate these schematic symbols. I'll mention this again. I'll try to link it down below in the description. I'm an Amazon affiliate, and so if you click my links, Amazon knows that I directed you to their page. And so if you buy something, I might get a percentage of that at no extra cost to you. I'll just mention that. So I'll put the other electronics down there. That's the symbols they use, especially for the 2N7000. Although I circle it, I don't think they do. But in any case, they're an authoritative text right there. So if you don't like these symbols, argue with the authors of the book instead of me. But in any case, I think I covered pretty much everything. I'm not going to cover this anymore. Maybe some people are really interested in it, and I would keep making videos related to this circuitry. But I'm about a week ahead. I make about 2 videos a day, and then I spread them out when they go live by a day. So if I make 2 videos in one day, they're going to go live on 2 separate days. So I'm assuming people are tired of this topic, so I'm going to end it there. But for those that enjoyed it, thanks for watching.